Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday, and welcome to Stellar Parenting with Brandi. I am your host, Brandi Kahn, and I'm an intuitive astrologer. And I also hold a Master of Science degree in psychology with a specialization in child and adolescent development. I'm super passionate about teaching parents and teachers and guardians how to combine the magic from the stars and the planets with the art of intentionally and consciously raising our children. You can find me at brandycon.com. That's Brandi with an I, and Con is Khan. And if you'd like to be on my priority list to be a caller on this show, please join my Facebook group, Psychology Infused Astrology. And I have exciting news for today. We're actually going to open up the phone lines and I'm going to take a caller. So if you have questions about your child's natal chart, you just want to know about their chart, please give us a call today. And what I will need their date of birth, their exact time of birth that's listed on their birth certificate, and the location of their birth. So I look forward to hearing from you. So on today's show, I'm going to share the most important thing that you should do, that you should remember when your child is in the middle of a meltdown, and also how that relates to their natal chart. But before we get started with that, let's dive into our weekly series in the spotlight. And in this series, every week I'm sharing either a planet or a luminary that is in a particular sign. And you want to listen carefully and pay special attention because this could actually be a placement that shows up in your child's natal chart. Okay. So we are going to start with the moon in the sign of, drumroll please, Pisces. Does your child have their moon in Pisces? If so, you want to listen up, okay? So in astrology, the moon is a luminary that's associated with our feelings, our emotions, our level of sensitivity, what makes us feel safe, what makes us feel nurtured, what our needs are, and also our intuition as well. And when we take the moon and we put her in the beautiful sign of Pisces. This is one of the most sensitive placements that I have seen in a natal chart, if not the most sensitive. People with their moon in Pisces tend to be extremely sensitive energetically and physically. So, Pisces is a mutable water sign. And what that means is that flexibility and the emotional landscape are really emphasized in the natal chart where you've got a Pisces moon. So children who have their moon in Pisces can be extremely receptive, extremely sensitive, very easily influenced by everyone and everything around them. Okay. And it's almost like they're an energetic sponge. Okay. These are the kids that can pick up on vibes and energy all around them from the environment. And then it may be a little confusing for them because then they feel as if the emotions are their own, that the emotions belong to them, and they don't really understand that they are just experiencing somebody else's energy that's around them. So, one of the most important and helpful things you can do as a parent who has a child with their moon in the sign of Pisces, you want to teach a certain measure and level of objectivity. And that's very important because with that Pisces moon and other major Pisces placements, sometimes there's a tendency, if that Pisces energy is even slightly out of balance, to feel very misunderstood and even to feel a little victimized at times. Okay. And there may also be a tendency to live in a dream world or a fantasy world. So, dreaming, fantasy, all of that make believe is very important with Pisces. And, for the child with their moon in Pisces, that make believe place might be much more preferable than the world that they're living in. So there may be a tendency to daydream and just kind of live in your own fantasy world, with a young child with Pisces, moon in Pisces. But because emotion is so strong for these children, they tend to have tremendous creative potential, huge creative potential, and also a very vivid imagination. So they are very attuned to music, art, poetry, dance, photography, theater. Any type of creative expression is going to be very, very strong for these children. So, as mom and dad, the parent or the guardian, what you really want to do, you want to encourage your child with their moon in Pisces, help them to discover how they want to express their creative genius. What is it that they want to do with all of this creative energy that they've been gifted with this incarnation? And it would be a huge thing, a huge contribution to the development of their soul, with you as parent helping them define that and figure that out when they are young. You might even have a teenager. Let's say you have a teenager who has their moon in Pisces. Pisces is also the sign of healing. So this teenager may be interested in working with energy, working with Reiki, learning Reiki. And if so, sign them up for a class. Maybe they'll really enjoy it. Also, children with moon in Pisces tend to be very attuned to the natural world. And they might be very gifted when it comes to dealing with animals, taking care of animals. I think the most important thing I want you to remember, though, if you have a child with their moon in Pisces, they are going to be at their best. They are going to be happiest, and they will function at their highest potential if they are in an environment that feels positive, peaceful, and pleasant. That's very, very important to remember. Positive, peaceful, and pleasant. Conflict, arguments, disagreements, all of that can be really traumatic for a child with their moon in Pisces. I mean, and that's for any child, but especially for these sensitive souls with their moon in Pisces. So let's remember that. And one of the tools that you could give to your child to help with their level of sensitivity, or to help them to deal with that if they ever feel overwhelmed, encourage them to use the white light technique. And in that particular exercise, what you're doing, you encourage your child to close their eyes and imagine that they are surrounded in a bubble of white light. And within that bubble of white light, there's no negative energy that can reach them, that can come in. Only love can come in, only higher frequencies, only light. So if they're ever feeling overwhelmed by all of the energy around them, encourage them to use the white bubble of light, that technique. That's something that they can carry with them for the rest of their life to help if there's ever a state of emotional dysregulation. Okay, so now we're moving to the psychology part. Last week, we talked about meltdowns and tantrums, and how when your child is upset, their prefrontal cortex shuts down. And when the prefrontal cortex shuts down, your child loses their ability to communicate, articulate, think, and to make good decisions. So basically, they're like in fight or flight. And I promise to share with you today the most important thing that you should do when your child is in a state of distress. So, the mainstream approach to behavior management encourages parents and teachers to take attention away from misbehavior and just simply to ignore it. Now, in some cases, that works, but there's other cases where that could actually make the situation a little worse. Because then, if the child feels as if they are being ignored, they can heighten up that behavior where they're using to get attention in order to draw you in more, in order to feel seen, heard, and validated, while they're experiencing internal or emotional pain. So the first step, the first thing that you want to do, if your child is in a state of distress, you already realize, okay, they're not thinking clearly. Maybe, they don't have their thinking brain online right now. And then the next thing I want you to do is to prioritize relational safety. Okay, prioritize relational safety. And the reason why we do this is because when a child feels safe, then their social engagement behaviors open up naturally. Okay. And then the defensive strategies turn off because they don't need them. There's no need to fight if they're feeling safe. There's nothing to push against if they are feeling safe and they allow themselves to open up. But what do? Parents, and I know we've all been there. I know I have as a mother of four. What do you do when your child is in the midst of a meltdown, breakdown, and they've kind of triggered that within you as well? You feel like you are also on a pathway to fight or flight. You also feel as if you're a little bit triggered as well. What do? It's not possible for you to lay the foundation for relational safety if you are in a state of fight or flight. Okay. So, what you want to do, if you're also triggered as well, you want to stop and take a moment. Take a moment to bring yourself back to a state of center. Take a moment to bring yourself back to a state of emotional regulation. So, make sure that your child is somewhere physically safe while you take a few minutes for yourself and focus on yourself. Because we get into the most trouble when we react to our child's behavior instinctively and impulsively without thinking and just reacting instead of responding in a truly conscious manner. That's where things can go wrong. So I want you to take a deep breath. You're going to inhale, and when you exhale, I want you to make sure that your exhale is twice as long as your inhale. And what that's going to do is that's going to calm your nervous system, and it's going to pump the brakes on that sympathetic response that you're having where you're in fight or flight. Maybe your heart is racing, your palms are sweaty, and you just feel on edge. Okay. So that's going to bring that to a halt, and it's going to get you back on the pathway to feeling emotionally regulated. All right. So then once you do that, in order to really cement that state of regulation, there are other things that you can do as well. So maybe for you, you want to call and talk to a friend. Maybe you want to go and meditate, maybe take a walk. Also, prayer helps some people, yoga, exercising, playing the piano. It all depends on what speaks to you as an individual, but methods like that can be used to help you really get back into a state of being emotionally centered and emotionally grounded, emotionally regulated. Okay. Now, what's so interesting? Here's where the astrology comes in. I mentioned earlier about the first thing that you want to do is make sure that you are providing a level of relational safety when your child is upset. And the thing that I love about this is in your natal chart, you have a placement, you have language of relational safety. It's going to be different for everybody. And also in your child's natal chart, they also have a placement that represents relational safety. And can you imagine how awesome it would be if you knew exactly what your child's language of relational safety is? And then that way, I mean, like if you knew that, you could really provide the love and support that they need during difficult moments. And it would be like you're speaking the child's language, literally. You're speaking their language of safety. And with that, you're able to reach their heart and connect on a very, very deep level. And if you feel like you need a little bit of help with that, I have the perfect program for you. I have a 5-week program that's called the Stellar Parent Method. And what it helps you to custom design your approach to parenting based on your child's natal chart, based on the astrology that it shows up in your child's natal chart. So many times, I think parents feel like we have to use a one size fits all approach. It's going to work sometimes, but it's not going to work every time. Why not custom design your parenting to really complement who your child is as an individual? So you can find information about that at brandycon.com. Just click on astrology and then you'll see the stellar parent method should show up. And if you have more questions about the program, please feel free to book a 15-minute free call on the stellar parent method and I'll answer all of your questions. We can chat a little bit and I really look forward to hearing from you. I look forward to hearing from you guys. And with that, it's time to turn our attention to our caller. Hello, caller.
Hello.
Hi,
Hi, how are you?
Crystal. I'm fine. How are you
Hello, how are
doing?
you? I
Good.
am, well, I could be better. I'm a little under the weather, but other than that, I am great.
Great. Well, thank you
And I
so
just
much for
wanted to
calling
see if
in.
you kind of, oh, you're so welcome. I was just going to see if you kind of picked up on anything, any messages
And
for me.
is this, yeah, is this for you or for a child?
No, for me.
For you. Okay.
Also,
So for Crystal,
anything that you see.
okay, what do we have for Crystal? So Crystal. Crystal, I kind of feel as if the weight of the world is on my shoulders. I do feel as if, as I'm blending with your energy, there's quite a bit that's going on, and I'm seeking some clarity, in particular about there's a choice that I have to make. I feel I can either take this pathway or there's another pathway. Do you understand that?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Does this have to do with work? Because I feel like I want to talk about work or your job.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Okay. So I know that with what I'm feeling, Crystal, it does feel as if you've been at a certain level or a certain place that feels quite comfortable within life in general. So I feel like, I go
Yes,
along and I'm living life and everything's comfortable. And I like for everything to feel comfortable and I like for things to be safe and predictable. Right. But I would say for the
yes,
last, especially 2 to 3 months, you've actually felt the tug or the draw to do something a little different. It's almost as if your soul is trying to push you into another area, but I feel a little
yes,
scared. I'm a little bit
yes.
hesitant. I don't know what's around the corner, and not knowing what's around the corner really freaks me out. So I'm a little bit afraid. I don't want to do anything that's out of the ordinary. That's how it feels. Does that make sense for you?
It makes perfect sense.
Yeah, yeah. And Crystal, what I want to say to you is I think that as time goes along, because this almost feels as if this is for a higher purpose, this is your soul trying to move you into a different area of experience. I think things are going to start to feel increasingly uncomfortable until we heed that call to shift something. Okay.
Hmm. Yes.
I do feel as if I want to shift, something needs to shift, something needs to change. Do you understand that?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. And I also feel as well, they are highlighting for me. I know that you mentioned at the beginning of the call, you mentioned that you're not feeling well. I do
Right.
feel, with your guides here, they're giving me the feeling that uh, I I want you to be able to moderate the stress that you're experiencing because there's this feeling of I'm dealing with anxiety, I'm dealing with tension, I'm dealing with uncertainty. And, within all of this, therefore, it impacts me or affects me physically in a negative way. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, and
Uh,
and I also feel as well, just as I'm blending here with you, I know I'm getting the feeling like of racing thoughts. Like I cannot turn my thoughts off. I cannot stop thinking. Do you understand that?
Yes, completely.
Yeah, yeah. But Crystal, I also feel like that with these thoughts that you're thinking, the thoughts that you have, a lot of times um, they kind of work against you. You understand? Like they tend to be on the side where you're worried about, "Oh, what's going to happen." But it's much more almost coming from a place of fear. You understand?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So I know that what I'm feeling just as I'm talking with you, I do feel that your guides want to come in and talk about really developing a sense of alignment within your own life. And what they mean by that is aligning to who you are, aligning to the divine within you. Because all of this other stuff, like the anxiety and the uncertainty, kind of starts to dissipate and fade away once we are in touch with that part of ourselves that is indestructible. Once we are in touch with the divine, once we are in touch with our higher selves, and we're living our lives from a very soul centered and heart centered place, then a lot of clarity comes as far as the other issues are concerned. I do want to tell you though, I have a warning here for you that just popped in. So I'm not sure if you've got friends around you or one friend in particular, but I do feel as if I need to tell you about making sure. I just feel, Crystal, like there may be someone around you, feels like a friend, but I'm not sure if that friend always has the best intentions. Does that make sense to you? I don't know why I'm feeling
Yes,
this
that
so
it
strongly.
does make sense to me.
Okay. And with that particular person, that particular friend, um, maybe not always having the best intentions or not always coming from the heart where you're concerned. I want you to be very, very aware of um be very aware of how your energy feels when you're around this person. um how are you being influenced? Do you feel a little bit worse about yourself or about life, that type of thing? Yeah, you come into resonance
Hmm.
with someone else who may not always have the best intentions, and when we're with someone else, the two of us, we start to vibrate at the same level. And if that
Right.
person is vibrating, from a lower space, they are vibrating from a place of fear or lack or anxiety, then we also, as well, may begin to vibrate at that same level. You understand?
Okay. Okay. Yes, I understand
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah, I really want you to just be aware of that. And I'm not encouraging you at all to be paranoid or distrustful in any way. I just want you to notice within your body,
Hmm.
what is it that you're feeling when you're around certain people? Do you feel a sense of openness and expansion? Do you feel as if there's nothing you can't do? Do you feel like you're in your highest state of awareness and alignment? Okay, that's what you want to feel. But if
Right.
you're around people and you're feeling a little bit restricted, you feel your energy constricted, you feel your energy level plummet and drop, and you don't feel so good around them, I want you to take note of that as well, because that's also a message about what's going on an energetic level. That makes sense?
That makes perfect sense. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
And we have a couple more minutes. Was there anything else you had a question about, and specifically?
Well, one, do I have any past loved ones that are around me?
Past loved ones around you, past loved ones around you. I feel like that I am aware of a male here as I'm just trying to shift my awareness to this. spirit world, but there's a strong smell of cigarette smoke here. As he's here, would you have a
Oh,
male in
wow.
the spirit world that would have been a smoker in life?
Oh, yes, yes, most
Okay.
definitely.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I said most definitely.
Most
That would
definitely.
probably be my stepfather. My mother passed away of lung cancer as well,
Oh, okay. Okay. And
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 my
was
and my
mom
grandmother.
okay, and was mom a smoker as well?
Yes, she was, and my
Yeah.
grandmother.
Oh, so all three of them. Okay. So I know that that smell is very, very strong when it's here. Okay, we've got 2 minutes left. Let me just see if I can get a message here from mom, a message here from mom. Like with mom, I don't feel as if I want to, cut any corners. Like I feel like I say things exactly as I, as I feel them. Would you remember that about mom? Like I feel like I'm direct and to the point about what I say.
Oh, yes, most definitely.
Yeah,
She
yeah,
was
yeah.
straight to the point.
Yeah, straight to the point. And I know that with mom, she still comes in that same way. And getting straight to the point here, I know that mom talks about taking care of yourself, making sure you're taking care of yourself, because mom gives me the feeling she didn't always take care of herself. She didn't always focus on her health, and maybe there were things going on around her, that caused her to feel a little bit off balance. But I know that mom comes in very strongly talking about take care of yourself, because if you don't take care of yourself, nobody else is going to do it for you. You understand?
That that sounds just like her. And my
Yeah.
sister, I have also lost my baby sister in
Oh,
2018
oh
to a massive
yeah.
heart attack.
My heart goes out to you, Crystal. I wish I had more time, but we are out of time. So I'm honored to bring that message through from your mom, and I know that your sister is also there as well. So thank you for calling in so much, Crystal, and I hope you feel better.
Thank you, sweetie, and you have a blessed day.
Thanks. You too. All right, and that was Crystal, a wonderful caller, and we are at the end of our show. Thank you so much for joining me today with Stellar Parenting with Brandi, and you can find me at brandycon.com. Brandi with an I, and Con is Khan. And I will see you next week. Everybody have a fabulous week.